my name is Adeena Mignogna, and this is actually, I like the way this is arranged. It's a perfect segue, because after now we're all excited to go out and grab that, $600 billion of business. I'm ready to, go in and quit my job tomorrow, but I've actually done that before. So, we can't rush out and quit the day job tomorrow. And I'll explain a little bit of who I am and why I'm here speaking to you. So I've been involved in working with some of the AI/ML robots. Particularly, I like to fool with AI/ML and databases. But I haven't done anything great to advance the technology, really. So what I'm really here to talk about is business, because I've done that before. I have walked in, I've handed in my 2-week notice and said, see ya. And when they asked me where I was going off to work for myself. At the time, I was a burned-out engineer, and so I took a completely different tactic and decided to open up a retail store. And so, I've kind of gone through that a little bit. About 2 years into the retail business, though, I realized I missed my day job, which was, I'm an aerospace engineer, so I work with satellites, and after doing retail, it was actually a paper and pottery studio. So after being completely away from that kind of technology for 2 years, I missed it, so I went back. And then since then, I've closed that business and have been working the day job, got involved in learning more about the AI/ML robots, which again, also, since I was I think I was first introduced to a lot when I was 8. But at the time, there was even though I programmed, I've been active with computers my entire life, there was no one there to really guide me in that technology, so I kind of went into other areas of my life. But now, since then, I've started a new company. I call it RIOTSW. RIOT stands for Reduced Information Overload Through Software, and that's just a cute acronym because I came up with it sitting while I had shown up at the wrong airport one day. I was supposed to fly out of town for my sister's wedding, and I missed that flight because of the wrong airport, and that's when I came up with this. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then just after, while I owned my business and after I closed, I wrote 2 books on it. And while they're centered a little bit more on retail, the stories are anecdotal based on retail. Anyone who's started a restaurant or business kind of went out on their own or thinking about going out on their own, there is a lot you can get from that because there are books and books and books out there on how to start a business, how to write a business plan, but not really a lot about, well, what happens when you really go out and do it, what happens then. And so that's kind of what my books are covered. And also in them, I go into a lot of, especially the second book after I closed my business, I kind of went into all the financial details of my business from beginning to end. So there's what I'm going to focus on today is the fact that, a bot business, and I called it a bot business because the funny thing is when I was writing these charts, I was like, is it an AI business? Is it a chatbot business? Is it a virtual agent business? I didn't know. So we're going to call it a bot business for my presentation today. And, the point is in some ways, it's the same thing. If you're opening up a retail store, you want to start a professional organizing business, you want to do anything, there's going to be some things that are going to be the same and you have to deal with. You're going to have your products and services that you provide. You're going to have customers, of course, because you want money. Now, you need to be ready to handle the business. You need to be ready to deal with the customers, ready to deal with customer service issues, because if you're providing anything, a product would fail. If you're providing a service, you might not meet their expectations, and so there's management of that. The people involved, now, not every business needs employees, but any employee any business that has an employee is going to have to deal with similar things. Startup money, again, not every business technically needs much startup money, but that would be, nothing unique there. And then, of course, competition. We all face that, good or bad. And that competition can be a way to actually help you grow your business. Now, this slide I just put in just to kind of recognize that there are a few things here that we deal with that not everybody, the professional organizing business isn't going to deal with it, the retail store isn't going to deal with it. We're going to have some issues about if we've got multiple developers working on our code, we might wind up with a shared development environment, and we have to deal with that. Copyright and IP restrictions, actually, just outside of the fact that it's an issue, but talking about it after me, which is great because I am not a lawyer. Although I've made heavy use of books like the NOLA legal guides, and even if you're working with a lawyer, I highly recommend kind of being knowledgeable before you walk in the door of the lawyer's office so you can talk with them. Packaging, delivery, how are we, if we're delivering a product, a software product, are we giving it to them on CD, download, both? We have to think about these things. Bugs and maintenance. Okay, how is the customer going to get feedback to us? How are we going to handle it? What's our turnaround time? A customer winds up with a bug. How do we deal with that? These are things that are going to be a little bit more unique to the bot business or some kind of software-related business. And I'm not going to really focus on them today because the idea of my presentation is that I want to talk about the things that, these are, because they're software-related, we're probably already thinking about them. We live in software, we think about software. It's the other stuff that we might ignore a little bit that I want to talk about. And so, I believe there are two reasons why someone wants to go out and start a business. The first one is you've got already that product idea. Like you have a virtual assistant bot, you have a chat bot, or you have a service where you want to write certain kinds of software for people. You've got that idea and you want to get it out there. One of the advantages of that is that doesn't necessarily require you to go quit your day job tomorrow. And that's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm maintaining my full-time day job, and Riot Software is, for all intents and purposes, it's not quite a hobby. It's a little bit beyond that, but I don't have to, I'm not under the pressure that Riot has to pay my bills right now. And I can let that be that way forever, or I can take it to another level and try to get it to replace my income. I've got a choice. The other category is that you're really motivated because you want to work for yourself. And there can be a combination of the two. Now, the second category was really what motivated me my first time out the door, and the first time starting my business is I was just sick of working for other people. I was burned out. And so I wanted to work for myself, and I wound up just kind of going through a bunch of business ideas till I hit on the right one that was working for me at the time. And now, if your first motivation is you just want to get out the door, you want to work for yourself, you got to come up with your product. And that can be a challenge. So one of the most important things you gotta know if you're about to, forgot to mention, Robert from Zabbitware was kind enough to also let me use him as an example in my presentation. So we'll talk a little bit about that throughout. So now your product, you do have to have an understanding of your product. And this is actually, again, your list of 60 different references that we could call a chatbot. I mean, really, you need to very quickly describe your product or service to somebody. I make chatbots. But that actually might not even be good enough because not everyone might know what a chatbot is. And along with that, it's not just now the one product. You got to define your services that go along with the product. What are your maintenance update policies? What are your technical support policies? All of that is going to go with your product. And a refund policy. If someone is not happy with your product, then what? So the example from Riot Software, right now all I have out is it's a freeware product. So I wouldn't even call it a product. I'm not taking any money for it. It's a SAE, which stands for Simple Anal Editor. The motivation behind that as a product was for myself, I do use the AML language, and I like to see things in a spreadsheet and use things that way. And there were some other free versions of editors out there, and just none of them were working for me. So I decided to write my own, and I decided to let other people have it. I have a second product, also another freeware product coming out. I was really hoping to have this done before this conference. But it's a simple anal chat engine. And again, the idea is I really wanted something to run standalone on my computer for me, and I'm going to put it out there for other people. So that's soon. Now, in terms of products that people will pay for in the future, I'll talk a bit about that in another slide. And again, of course, Zabbitware Ultra HAL Assistant is their product. When I had my retail store, we had actually a series of products and services that we offered. Now, along with your product, a very important thing is, are you ready to start selling it? You might have a piece of code. It might work, but is it ready to be out there? So, for one, the product and service has to be well-defined. You have to know what it is. The product is kind of self-explanatory to be what it is. The service might need a little bit more explanation from you.